Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty Roundtable Radio Talk Show.
All right. Happy to have you along, my fellow Americans. Sam Bushman live on your radio. Hard-hitting news that networks refuse to use, no doubt, starts now. This, my fellow Americans, is the broadcast for August the 7th in the year of our Lord 2025. This is our one of two, and the goal always to protect life, liberty, and property, to promote God, family, and country, to do so on your radio in the traditions of our founding fathers. Yes, indeed, the checks and balances brilliantly put in place by the founding fathers, one of the peaceful, restorative solutions we have at our fingertips as we use the supreme law of the land, the Constitution for the United States of America, as our guide. We reject revolution unless it's a Jesus revolution. Then we're in, because we follow the Prince of Peace. Man, yesterday we had on James Edwards, our dear friend over at thepoliticalcesspool.org, an incredible weekend talk show, Saturday Night Live, if you will. And you can listen to it on demand anytime, thepoliticalcesspool.org. We talked about Kristi Noem. We talked about prisons. We talked about we've got prison nation here, and it's got to stop. Kristi Noem promoting the Speedway Slammers, what it's called. It'll be Indiana's version of Alligator Alcatraz. Kind of an interesting twist, huh? We also talked about the New York Post announced the creation of what they call the California Post. They call it a new outlet to be set in L.A. or Los Angeles. The California Post will have a daily dedicated homepage, a daily print edition, and I guess it'll have support, national and international news support from the New York office. So it's kind of an interesting way to run a paper. You do some local stuff, save a lot of money, take your national stuff from the East Coast, pop it onto the West Coast, and wow, it's their way they're going to try to crank up viewership digitally. They say the California Post is scheduled to start operations early 2026. That'll be interesting. Representative Nancy Mace says, I just announced I'm running for governor of South Carolina. Quite interesting, because Marsha Blackburn planning to run for governor of Tennessee. So now you're going to have, more and more female governors coming on tap. Kash Patel gets asked to help Texas track down and arrest fugitive Democrat lawmakers. Anyway, governor and the legislative body both warning about this. WorldNet Daily, will Kash Patel help with that? I don't know. To me, that's a very dicey scenario, because if you're not very careful, I submit to you that Mike Johnson did a very similar thing. He dismissed Congress so they wouldn't vote on the Jeffrey Epstein releasing of documents. And he dismissed everybody early, too. Almost the same tactic to prevent a vote. Slightly different scenario, but is it different in a state versus national? Is it different in the nuances? I don't know. Legally, there's some big questions. In my opinion, from a ethical perspective, it's wrong for them to do this. They're simply circumventing the people's will, and the people's will who sent them there to vote on our behalf. And so when a representative takes off and doesn't do their job, hey, should we fire them? If you literally didn't show, if you walked out on your job in the middle of the day and refused to come back in a normal job, you'd be fired, right? Just wondering. Greg Abbott doubles down, asks the Supreme Court to rule before the third quorum attempt. So that was interesting. Again, Texas going scorched earth on this thing a little bit, but I'm afraid it might backfire if you think about the Mike Johnson reality check I just pointed out. Marjorie Taylor Greene threatens to leave the Republican Party. James Edwards says, and I agree, that's one of the most stupid things she could do. Richard Mack, sheriff before that, said that the day before. She's warning that the GOP is out of step with the MAGA base. She's right about that fact. Okay, the point is leaving the party isn't we agree with the problem. We don't agree with the solution. Tactics are all wrong. Marjorie Taylor Greene, MTG, says that the GOP is reverting to its neocon past and its leaders, quote, the good old boys. They're a formidable opponent for MAGA. I agree with that, and it's a problem. But leaving the Republican Party is not the answer. Doubling down and helping us get more elected folks that understand MAGA and believe in MAGA is the way to go. Now, here's what's interesting. I'm not even MAGA. I want to make America moral again, so I'm mama maybe, but not MAGA. Not because I'm against President Trump or against a lot of the things that he's doing, but there's a lot of things that MAGA stands for that I do not agree with. Okay, for example, the president being completely in charge of tariffs, I'm not agreeing with that. It's a congressional responsibility. Go look at your Constitution. So see, I'm a constitutionalist first. I'm a rule of law guy first. And if MAGA wants to obey the rule of law, then of course MAGA agrees with me and the Constitution. And if MAGA doesn't do those things, then see, I'm kind of against that. So when Donald Trump's thinking about sending us a stimulus check, I'm against it. There's no authority for the government to steal my money from taxes, turn around and send me back a check and make me feel good. Okay? Get rid of taxes, reduce taxes, decrease expenses. When you start doing that, you make sense. I'm more Doge than I am MAGA. But Doge talked a big game. They were going to save, what, $2 trillion or more? Turned out they got $9 billion from Congress. Now, other people are starting to cut. Bobby Kennedy and others. I commend them for their efforts. But I digress, except to say, hey, I'm only MAGA in as far as MAGA obeys and is congruent with the supreme law of our land. I'm not MAGA. I'm not Republican. I'm not Democrat. I believe the Founding Fathers' party politics or partisan politics will ruin this country. And you can see it every day right now. The House of Representatives, I guess, took off. July 23rd, they began their recess. Many members are traveling internationally, not going to their constituents. House Speaker Mike Johnson literally went and hung out with Benjamin Netanyahu. Why would he do a thing like that? Congress is set to reconvene on September the 2nd, 2025. I guess that'll end their what they call their work district period. The problem that I have with that work district period is if you're international and not even with your constituents, it's not a district period. It's a let's let the taxpayers fund international travel period while we spend time with foreign nations' leaders, not with our constituents. It's a disgrace, people. But there you have it. And so, hey, Mike Johnson dismissing early, fleeing internationally. And then we're concerned about Texas and those guys walking off. So you set aside Republican and Democrat discussions and you go, neither tactic is a very honorable one, is it? Anyway, we asked, is this criminal at a summit in New York City, right? Democrat Illinois representative, her name is Delia Ramirez, told the audience while speaking Spanish that she's more of a Guatemalan. I'm a proud Guatemalan before I'm an American. My question is, does that violate her oath of office and her sworn oath to the Constitution? What about her citizenship? Does that cause a problem with her citizenship discussion? See, the Republicans are all traveling internationally, so they don't even know about this probably. They don't care either. How many illegals are in America? Many people guess 30 million. Wayne Allen Root suggests that it's more like 50 million. The number's just gargantuan, isn't it? The DOJ initiating a grand jury probe into accusations that the Obama administration fabricated intelligence on Russian interference for the 2016 election. The director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, disclosed documents alleging these officials manipulated intelligence to create the fake Russia Gate scandal. Now, it's interesting to me that they write alleged in this story. If she has the documents, I don't see how it's alleged. Anyway, Tulsi Gabbard has handed these documents to the DOJ and urged an investigation into all individuals involved. I commend Tulsi Gabbard for that, but I don't know that I have a lot of trust in the Justice Department. Pam Bondi is the one that said, Jeffrey Epstein, nothing here to see, move along, until we called a halt to that con game. And we're demanding accountability. We'll see where we get with that. But I'm just saying, I don't trust the Justice Department. Do you? President Trump, for example, has accused President Barack Obama of treason related to these allegations. Now, treason is a very high bar set, so Trump needs to be careful because I don't know that you can call it treason. I learned that from Dr. Scott Bradley. You got to be very careful when you talk treason because it's a really hard bar to set and prove. And is it criminal what they did? Absolutely. Is it treason? Don't know. It certainly looks like it on the surface. The problem that you got to understand is legally, there's a big difference in the term treason than it is in the halls of, conversation or your First Amendment right to make whatever claim you want to. The legal definition is quite different. More than two-thirds of U.S. voters believe that the officials connected to the Russiagate lies should be held accountable. That's according to the latest Rasmussen poll. 54% of respondents think former President Barack Obama's national security team committed serious crimes by promoting the false Russia narrative. 69% stated that it's vital to the country and the country's survival that those who manipulated intelligence are absolutely prosecuted. There you have it. Hang tight. I'm Sam Bushman. You're listening to hard-hitting news the networks refuse to use on your favorite talk station.
I have a question. Can a nation conceived in liberty carry its head high if it denies protection to the youngest and most vulnerable of its citizens? Can a country founded on God-given rights continue to thrive without understanding that life is a precious gift from our Creator? I believe that great nations and great civilizations spring from a people who have a moral compass. I don't think a civilization can long endure that does not have respect for all human life, born and not yet born. I will be in earnest. I will not equivocate, and I will not excuse. I will not retreat an inch, and I will be heard. One thing I promise you, I will always take a stand for life.
As you are aware, America is divided over every fault line possible. This is intentionally fostered by those who do not love God, family, or country. We believe a peaceful future as a free people absolutely depends on civility. Clarion Call for Civility is looking for funding and volunteers at every level to make our hopes and efforts a reality. Please donate, sign our pledge, and help us in our sacred cause. Please visit callforcivility.com for more details. Callforcivility.com.
Bypass the mainstream narrative with Liberty News Radio at libertynewsradio.com. Engage with charismatic hosts live or on demand. We cover the crucial news focused on God, family, and country. News that other networks simply refuse to use. Think of LNR's hard-hitting news and podcast at your fingertips, anytime, anywhere. Join us at libertynewsradio.com. Empower your day with the truth, because the truth will set you free. libertynewsradio.com.
Swim to the moon, let's climb through the tide, penetrate the evening that the city sleeps too high. Let's swim out tonight, love.
All right, back with you live, ladies and gentlemen. Moonlight Drive, the Doors. Let's swim to the moon. Brian Rust with me. FreeWaterCoinCo.com. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you much, Sam. Glad to be with you.
Donald Trump and the Trump administration says that they're ready to announce a plan to build a nuclear reactor on the moon, aiming to launch it by 2030. China also plans to send astronauts to the moon by 2030. So we're going to go ahead and do a nuclear reactor on the moon. Those guys are just trying to get there, they claim. I just find the whole thing very strange, Brian. What do you think, a nuclear reactor on the moon, buddy?
That's wow. That is very, very interesting. I guess Russia's going up to destroy it, and we're going to go up to build it or something. Like that's the plan.
Well, I don't know. I just wonder how expensive this is going to be. Look, what does it take to make a nuclear reactor, buddy? That stuff is like heavy, right?
Yeah, just well, they got to really ramp up the printing machines, and by doing so, they'll come up with some cash.
Yeah, because all they got to do is send a 3D printer up there. Then just use a 3D printer to go ahead and just print the nuclear reactor, right?
Right. Good point.
I'm just saying. I know it sounds really cool, but I'm just not convinced, Brian. It's just. You know, they claim there's just things that are too good to be true, and this fits this category to me. I mean, I think it's just an outlandish idea.
Well, I think there's some things that ought to be done. There's a lot more going on that need to be taken. That need to have finished before they start building a reactor on the moon. I think.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking, why don't we just shut down the IRS, decrease the taxes, and skip the reactor on the moon? What do you think?
Wow, I like that.
Yeah. Just kind of my redneck way of just simplifying things. Now I realize we can't win the space wars if we do that. But maybe we could get to the moon, too. Maybe we could meet the Chinese on the moon. And then maybe we can use Google Translate. They can speak in Chinese and we can speak in English. And we can Google Translate on the fly with AI. Why don't we just build an AI center on the moon? Forget we got to have a nuclear power plant to build the AI. See, I get it now. AI's next. So pretty soon it'll be a nuclear reactor on the moon by 2030. AI, big old server farm, up there.
Yeah.
Well, the temperatures will be crazy. How do nuclear reactors deal with those kind of temperature swings, Brian? Is it a concern? Does it get hotter than all get out and colder than all on the moon?
Yeah, maybe some layers. They're going to need some kind of layers. Maybe the platinum palladium layer that withstands heat, and so they're going to need more metal. I don't know.
Okay. Trump is imposing, maybe this will come up with the money. Maybe this is the way we're going to get the money to make all this happen. Trump is imposing an additional 25% tariffs on India, lifting the total rate to 50%, Brian.
Well,
what do you think of that?
He's going to hit them hard, trying to, to save face as far as the out of control kind of tariff situation. Fairness.
What do you think? Do you think that these tariffs are going to do good or are they going to backfire? See, my problem isn't that Trump's using tariffs. I support tariffs 100%. They're constitutional. Trump's right. It's the way we used to fund the proper role of limited government. So I support tariffs. My heartburn over this, though, is Congress is really responsible for tariffs because tariffs are taxes, not the president. What they're trying to do is do these wiggle room, I don't know what you call them. Well, it's not really a tax. It's more of a, whatever international policy. And, they're playing games with words. But my problem is taxes are clearly in congressional responsibility and tariffs are clearly taxes. And so I don't like the president unilaterally doing this. I support the move. But, hey, man, Congress is on vacation. They left on July 23rd. They're not even getting back till September the 2nd. These clowns are all traveling internationally. While Trump's trying to handle the tariffs, why doesn't Congress get in session, codify what Trump's doing, and then we won't have a constitutional problem with it, Brian?
Well, I think you're right, Sam. I think that, that needs to happen. The problem is Congress has been dragging its feet all the way along here. I mean, he's trying to get things done, and he's trying to move ahead, probably, just without Congress, per se, which he shouldn't. But it seems like over the last number of years, presidents, Biden didn't care about any of these other things. He just did what he wanted to do. And Obama probably was, doing some of the same things. I mean, I don't think they're on the same page. And Congress can just decide they don't want to do anything. And so they just kind of slowly, I'm going on vacation and we'll get to it when we can. And I think the longer it rolls out, the worse it is for President Trump. So I think trying to accomplish some things, but it's...
And what I find fascinating about this whole thing is they say they'll be back from their, and they call it their district session. They'll be back on September the 2nd, district session. These people are all traveling internationally, Brian.
There you go.
They're not in a district session, buddy. They're not coming home to sit down and talk to Brian. They're off talking to people like Benjamin Netanyahu. In my humble opinion, the guy's a war criminal.
Yeah, good point. So, yeah, I agree with you, Sam. I think it's a mess. It is. It's a mess.
All right. Well, we better move to some good news then. Apple CEO Tim Cook and President Donald J. Trump announced from the Oval Office that Apple will invest an additional $100 billion in American manufacturing, raising its total commitment to $600 billion by 2025. $600 billion is getting something done. They claim that this expansion will include the launch of the American Manufacturing Program, collaborating with 10 U.S. companies to enhance production of components used globally in Apple products. The initiative aims to bolster U.S. Manufacturing and is expected to support over 450,000 U.S. jobs. What do you think of that, Brian?
Well, make America great again, huh?
Yeah, now they then say the investment also features a new, quote, AI server factory in Texas and the creation of 20,000 additional American jobs. This is pretty big, Brian. Now how much of this is Apple money? $600 billion versus how much is, Apple getting special privilege at the trough of tax breaks and everything else for this versus how much the American people are paying. I don't have all the breakdown of that. But I will say this, an investment of $600 billion by Apple is a good start for an investment in America as opposed to foreign nations. You got to call it good news at this point, Brian.
Yeah, I think it is. I think that's some of the things that we'd like to see happen. Let's keep these jobs here in America and help support and strengthen our country and not rely on the other countries to we've given away so much and we rely on other countries to try to take care of a lot of these situations where a lot of these countries don't like us anyway. So why are we doing that? So I think, bring it back.
Now, as far as I understand, Utah is supposed to get a big data center. It's supposed to be in Millard County outside of Delta, Utah. And as far as I understand, they're supposed to build a huge Millard County, Utah, a multi-million-dollar artificial data center. Yahoo.com has this piece. I find that interesting headline, too. Is the Saving Our Grace going to be billed for IT? Billed for data?
Well, it seems like that's where we're headed. I mean, IT seems to be, AI is starting to jump in, and I think if we're not prepared for that, we're going to be behind the eight ball. So I think, possibly, and I think, why not? Why not create some of these jobs in some of these? We have land down there. It seems to be some open space down there in Delta and down by Fillmore, down that area. So let's do it.
All right. Anyway, Jewel Capital is the group doing this. And they call it Jewel Capital Partners. They went to the Millard County Commission and got approval, asking for a reserve of, listen to this, 4,000 acres of Millard County. Our plan to take this area to make it into an exquisite artificial intelligence data center campus. I don't know how to respond to that, man. 4,000 acres is pretty big, Brian.
Yeah, so my mom was born in Kanosh, so we're talking Millard County down there by Fillmore.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that's I know the area, and there's a lot of open land out there. So let's I'd like to see the jobs here in the U.S. and not and try to. Obviously, we've got to compete on a world scale, and so perhaps this is one way to start competing in a better fashion.
Yeah, you just kind of wonder, at least in my opinion for this thing, you kind of wonder, though, how much of the taxpayers, on the hook for some of this stuff versus the rest of us. How much are they using tax dollars or special privilege to get some of this done? That's always a concern you got to watch for. But again, it's good news. We're starting to build AI centers all over the United States. How will that affect electricity and more? How will that affect the economy? Anyway, very, very interesting. As the world takes on AI to be the next, revolution? We used to have the Industrial Revolution and everything else. Now it's the AI revolution on the heels of the .com bust of the .com revolution, right? All right, we'll talk about it. Brian Russ with me. We'll get the price of gold and silver and everything else. You're listening to the Honest Money Report right here on Liberty Roundtable Live.
Protecting your liberties. You're listening to Liberty News Radio.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. President Trump will meet with Russia's Vladimir Putin in the coming days. That word this morning from the Kremlin. Putin has mentioned the possibility of the United Arab Emirates as a meeting spot. Mr. Trump says prospects for the sit-down are good.
The president's comments came after what he called very good talks between his special envoy and Putin in Moscow. One White House official said a meeting could take place as soon as next week. And while Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said Donald Trump is open to meeting with the Russian and Ukrainian leaders, her statement did not address the potential timing of a meeting.
White House correspondent Greg Clugston. Putin says he's willing to meet with Ukraine's president when the conditions are right. United Airlines continuing to experience flight delays today following computer problems last night.
United says the issue was with a system called Unimatic, which houses flight information that's fed to other systems. It's not clear what caused the problem, but it was resolved late Wednesday, although some flight disruptions continued into Thursday. The Federal Aviation Administration says on its website that flights destined for Chicago, Denver, Newark, New Jersey, Houston, and San Francisco were halted at their departing airports. I'm Donna Warder.
Apple has announced an additional $100 billion commitment to America, boosting its total U.S. investment to $600 billion. President Trump says of Apple, they're coming home. The new investment expected to create some 20,000 jobs. At 226,000 jobs, unemployment filings rose modestly last week, but American employers pretty much avoided layoffs. On Wall Street this hour, stocks are higher. The Dow is up 136 points. The Nasdaq ahead 189. The S&P trading 32 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Charlie Kirk here. I've been thinking, why does it feel like losing weight is harder than ever before? Mixed messages, fad diets, and quick fix solutions. Many people are left stuck and exhausted trying to fight a battle they can't seem to win. If you feel this way, you're not alone. I used to feel that way too. But let me tell you, it's not your fault. Your body is working against you, and delaying action only makes it harder. I took a step 2 years ago and called PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition and lost 40 pounds. I feel great and have kept it off. If you are ready to make a change for life, call 855-696-2020. That is 855-696-2020 to schedule your weight loss consultation. The first 11 callers who mention healthy will get 2 free weeks added to their weight loss package. Call 855-696-2020 and mention the word healthy. Visit them at myphdweightloss.com. That is myphdweightloss.com. It works, everybody. Check it out at myphdweightloss.com.
Introducing Managed IT Services from NPI. We offer top-notch data backup and recovery, email spam protection, and network security tailored to your needs and budget. With 20-plus years of experience in the medical field, our HIPAA-certified consultants know what it takes to protect sensitive information. Don't settle for less. Give us a call at 801-706-6980 and experience the difference with Managed IT Services. Remember, your IT support should be fast, efficient, and reliable.
Introducing PrepStartsNow.com, your ultimate guide to readiness and peace of mind. We offer practical preparedness tools, training, and education to take your family's household readiness to the next level. Browse the prep shop for essential products, check out our planning guides, and stay informed with our prep blog. Visit PrepStartsNow.com and subscribe to our emails for exclusive offers, new products, and future events. Remember, preparedness begins with PrepStartsNow.com.
Imagine a school where faith and integrity are at its center, where heritage and responsibility instill character, where educating both hearts and minds brings about academic excellence. There is a school in American Fork where character and embracing the providence of a living God are fundamental, where students' national test scores average near the 90th percentile. Based on LDS principles and a love of country, now in our 39th year, American Heritage School is accepting fall enrollment for kindergarten through high school. What would you do for your child? Give them an education that will prepare them for life. Located east of the temple in American Fork, American Heritage School is a remarkable and affordable alternative. Visit us, find us online, or in the Yellow Pages. American Heritage School in American Fork.
Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty Roundtable Radio Talk Show.
Brian Rust with me, freewatercoinco.com. You've got a friend in the honest money business, ladies and gentlemen. So Apple putting $600 billion into the United States. It's huge. There's a big AI server factory or data center in Texas. Millard County, Utah. The Millard County Commission has just approved a multi-million-dollar 4,000-acre artificial intelligence AI data center. Now, here's what's interesting. You know, the environmentalists are all not knowing what to do. On one hand, they want the economic boom, just like the rest of us. On the other hand, problems here. Here's the headline. Big tech's, quote, net zero emission goals are under threat due to raising AI demands, causing significant increase in emissions. Google's emissions rose by 11%. Amazon by 6% in 2024. Microsoft fell slightly, but was 10% higher than in 2021. So, you know, it's down, but it's up, kind of a discussion. AI-related energy demands could use up to 12% of U.S. electricity by 2028, indicating a severe imbalance in renewable energy that simply cannot keep up with the demand, Brian. You want to respond to this one?
Yeah, you better get your silver because it looks like we're going to be building more solar farms, and that takes metal. Now, obviously, the downside of the solar farms is I guess the pollution. For say when they're no longer any good, what happens? Do we create a cemetery of a nice big dump of solar? Anyway, but yeah, silver. Get your silver.
By the way, where's gold and silver sitting? It's a perfect time to discuss that when you're saying get your silver because it's a going up, buddy.
Yeah. So silver right now is 38.35.
Whoa, I haven't seen it that high in quite a while.
Yeah, we've touched the $40 range, and now we dipped back down last month. It got back down just under 37, but now we're back up. Projections were to hit 40. We hit 40, and now they're projecting 50, which I've been saying forever we're going to get back to 50 just because that's where we've been. But I mean, if we need to go, less pollutant, I guess, I don't know, and by windmills and solar, I'm not sure so sure that's the full avenue that we need to look at, but I know that that's what everybody seems to want: clean air, and so yeah.
Well, listen to this. They say key sustainability strategies involve buying, quote, renewable electricity, investing in nuclear energy, and enhancing energy efficiency in data centers. Despite the challenges, companies like Google, Meta, Microsoft still aim to achieve net zero emissions by 2030, with Amazon targeting 2040. Now, here's the problem I have with all this. Net zero emissions is fake news, Brian. The idea, the term net zero emissions is absolutely blatant fake news.
Yeah.
Because the only way you hit zero emissions is you buy credits from elsewhere. So you're really putting out emissions, but you're offsetting it, they claim. And so the term they use for this is called net zero emissions, but it's a lie. It isn't zero. It's just the rich buy their way out of admitting emissions, right?
Yeah. So
and I think it's a huge problem.
Yeah, we've got a huge problem. I mean, the power grids are already pushing as much in the heat and these fires and all the things that are going on. Yeah, like you say, nuclear power seems to be some maybe interest there in building some bigger nuclear power. But everybody's pushing. You drive down the freeways now and you see all these solar panel cities kind of out there on the properties now, and so maybe that's where we're headed. I don't know. Try to use the sun.
Well, I don't know. Here's the deal, though. the Department of the Interior is canceling, they call it the Lava Ridge wind project. It's in southern Idaho. It's a decision reversing the Biden administration's late approval of the project in December 2024. So right when, Biden was gone as a lame duck, whatever you want to call it, he approved this project, and Trump is canceling this project. It's a wind project in southern Idaho. Secretary of the Interior Doug Burgum cited, quote, crucial legal deficiencies, and local opposition is the reason for the termination. Well, the project, they say, was planned to install up to 231 wind turbines over nearly 60,000 acres. Local protests complain about it's near a World War II memorial site. They say this is dangerous. And anyway, President Trump halted a lot of this, and he's getting a lot of praise for doing so. Do you want to respond to this, Brian? This is huge because it's the opposite of everything else we've just been talking about to some degree, right?
Right. Well, they've got to have some kind of answers to, how they're going to do this, or how they're going to get the, they're going to build these plants and so on across the country. And now where are they going to get the electricity to do so and the power to do so? So I don't know the answer there. I don't know if the wind turbines are going to work. And, Germany kind of went to, clean air all the way across and see how well that went. And so I don't know. It's a good question.
Now, what Trump and team say about it is they say, listen, we've got to pursue traditional sources, not these new sources. I couldn't agree more, Brian.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
I'm convinced that, traditional sources are stable. It's ran the country for decades and quite stably for the most part. Every time we move to these other kind of, I don't know what words to use for these things, but new energy stuff or whatever else, it just seems like it doesn't work. It's not reliable. It's not consistent.
Well, that's it, Sam. I mean, the thing is the big push over the last little while is green energy, and so regardless of if it was working or not, that was kind of the big push for everything. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't have the answer, but it seems like, Germany and some of these other countries, didn't they go back to nuclear and power and so on? I don't know.
Anyway, all I can tell you is that, hey, Trump's going a different direction than they were going before. I don't believe a lot of this wind power is very, very good. I find most places it's, difficult to make happen. It's not consistent enough. It does damage to the environment. I mean, think about what were they calling this, like 6,000 acres? But we don't have the kind of land for that. Well, we don't even have enough land to build houses on, Brian.
Wasn't it far bigger than 6,000? Didn't they say it was 60,000?
Well, maybe you're right. Maybe it was 60,000. Anyway, the number was just so huge, I can't even really comprehend it. But I got good news on the financial front, Brian. HHS Secretary, Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced the cancellation of $500 million in funding for 22 different mRNA vaccines development projects. Yeah, they're basically like the COVID and the flu and all this kind of stuff. The decision affecting major pharmaceutical companies such as Pfizer, Moderna, etc., aims to shift focus towards whole virus vaccines and other what they call novel platforms. And despite the mRNA technology, they say proven safety, which I disagree with. But anyway, infectious disease experts have warned that abandoning this could hinder a rapid response to pandemics, etc. And it's a big deal. They're cutting $500 million. And now, you can say, well, that's pennies, Sam. It is, but you're talking about one guy, one department, and you're just simply saying, hey, we're not going to move forward with this. A lot of this isn't following the science. A lot of this is questionable, and we're going to put a halt to this con game until we, know more and follow sound science. I think it's a step in the right direction, Brian.
Boy, I do too. I think that we're way over. These pharmaceuticals have so much control. Every commercial on every second or third commercial on TV is some new drug. I mean, get this here because it's doing this here, and then 2 commercials later you have another drug, and then side effects aren't good. So,
all right, ladies and gentlemen, gold and silver up. I'll tell you that right now. Gold literally $33.92, silver above $38. So there you have it. Hang tight. We'll talk about it. Economic reality check. You are listening to the Honest Money Report on Liberty Roundtable Live with Brian Rust of Free Water Coin Co.
Former Sheriff Richard Mack recounts in his book The Proper Role of Law Enforcement, how he came to realize while working as a beat cop how wrong the all-too-common orientation of police officers is when they think of their job as being to write tickets and arrest people. Richard Mack tells of his personal transformation from by-the-number cop to Constitution-conscious defender of citizen safety and freedoms. Learn what it really means to serve and protect. Purchase your copy at CSPOA.org. That's CSPOA.org.
Get ready to be part of something incredible. We're breaking barriers and delivering the powerful stories that mainstream media won't touch. Your support is what fuels our mission to revolutionize journalism and bring you the truth. Join our passionate community of changemakers by donating at libertynewsradio.com today. Together, we're creating the future of news.
As the United States boldly stepped forward in the glorious light provided by its new Constitution in 1787, the nations of the earth were in awe of the newfound strength and hope of this free land. Today, the nation stands at a crossroads. A divergence from the original intent put forth in the United States Constitution has brought grave threats to our beloved nation. A miracle is needed if the United States is to survive. That miracle is again the pure application of the United States Constitution. I'm Scott Bradley. In my To Preserve the Nation book and lecture series, I bring forth truths that will help raise up a new generation of statesmen like those noble Americans who founded this land. Vigorous application of these principles will invigorate and restore the nation, and we may become again the freest, most prosperous, most respected, and happiest nation on earth. Visit topreservethenation.com to begin that restoration.
All right, our dear friend Brian Rust, freewatercoinco.com on your radio with the Honest Money Report. President Trump has expressed grievances against big banks, accusing them of discrimination, Brian. You want to respond to that one? What do you say?
So what is he's blaming big banks for discriminating against
conservatives.
Tell me a little more about it. So just if we're too conservative, then that's
yeah. So the banks have been shutting down the credit card, merchant capabilities of say gun dealers or like talk show hosts or different people that the Biden administration disagreed with back in the day. They literally shut them out of their banks. They would prevent them from using credit card services. They would cancel their accounts and force them to go elsewhere. Trump gives the example of one bank forced him to move a bunch of money, another bank refused to work with him, and da-da-da. And basically he's saying, hey, you guys are discriminating against conservatives, and Trump's going to supposedly go after the banks.
All right. No, that makes sense, though. I mean, that doesn't seem right. Because, so they're pushing their agenda, and so that they're using the banks to do that. Yeah, that's not right.
Anyway, I find that kind of an interesting twist about that. The problem is Trump goes after so many good things that I support. The problem that I have with it all, though, Brian, at least as far as I can tell, is, hey, it's a lot of talk. Trump brings so many things up, and I applaud a lot of them. But then half of them just don't even happen, don't even come to fruition. I mean, I'm waiting for us to, forget attacking the banks for a second. Let's just go ahead and roll into Fort Knox and check it out.
Yeah, you're right, Sam. I think there's that. I do think, though, American people want to know. I would, hadn't heard about that. I mean, as far as banks, picking and choosing, because of the agenda. So I like him as far as that, putting that out there. Maybe nothing happens and so on, but at least the American people can say, well, hey, that's happening to me. And maybe they step up and say, well, gosh, I don't like that happening to me. Maybe I'm going to start, voicing my opinion. I don't like it and so on. And maybe more and more people get together. Maybe we can stop some of this stuff.
That's a good point, and I guess bringing it up at least educates the people about some things. I just get frustrated because it's like the country song, a little less talking, a lot more action is what we need going on.
Yeah, but I like. Yeah, I agree with you. But I like the fact of at least Trump's trying to make headway. I mean, back when he was president and we were energy sufficient. I mean, we were in a great spot as far as our own energy and so on, and gas and fuel and so on. But now Biden jumps in and stops everything that Trump did good. We don't need this pipeline. We're done with it. And so it seems like this back and forth fighting. And you brought this up in the past of one president, he gets in and he changes all the good things that this president did because he didn't like him. And now this president comes in and they change all the things. We've talked about that. So, I think he's trying to make headway, but Congress, those that are dragging their feet, I think some of these people in office just need to be kicked out for not doing their job.
Yeah, what we need to do is if you people travel internationally, not only will we not fund it, but we're going to basically dock your pay because you're not on the payroll like you're supposed to be. You're off, in the world's playground at our expense, and it's going to stop. All right, I got another piece of good news and then a funny story for you. Not so funny, but kind of. The good news is President Trump orders new census to exclude those in the U.S. illegally, Brian. I think this is huge news, and I've been warning about this for quite some time now, along with several other people. Now Trump's picked up on it, and good for him. Bottom line is he needs to redo the census so that illegal aliens are not included in the census counting. That's going to be very hard to do because I don't, unless people say, oh, I'm illegal, or how are you going to vet and make sure people are really legal and everything else? It's going to be tough, but I commend him for his effort on this because here's what's going to happen. Joe Biden and Barack Obama and team have Hillary Clinton, I don't know who's involved exactly, but they put together a ticking time bomb. When you bring in 30 million illegals or whatever the number is, and by the way, Wayne Allen Root, our dear friend, talk show host, brother, says it's more like 50 million. But nevertheless, when you bring in that many people, you literally change the dynamics. If you do the census in 2020, for instance, hey, you get a lot of places that have a bunch of extra House seats and a lot of places that are denied House seats based on this. And it changes the electorate. It changes the way that the House looks big time. And so they set a ticking time bomb because if Joe Biden brought in, say, 30 million illegals, hey, that's going to change the game. And they're going to be included in the census and coming up 2030. That's going to change things in favor of the Democrats big time. It's almost like redistricting, gerrymandering via census data. And so Trump's saying, whoa, we got to stop this. It's a serious discussion, Brian.
Yeah, I agree, and you could see the agenda there from the left as they're using these illegals to do that, and people talked about that kind of way back when. What's going on here, and these communities, and so now, yeah, they're taking advantage and trying to get them so that they can put more people to vote in their favor. And I like the fact that Trump's changing that. Didn't I see something about, in Texas they were trying to redo some things, and some of the city council people or whatever walked off and just, look, we're not going to even. Yeah,
it's the state legislative body literally walked off, went to Illinois. Yeah. And, it's insane. And to me, see, you can't do that, though. What if you did that? What if you walked off your job? What if you had an employee, Brian, and they just walked out and said, hey, man, I don't like what you're doing. I'm going to walk out. I'll be back as soon as you come to your senses. I'm going to stop you. They'd be fired, right?
That's right. That's right. I agree. Get rid of them. They're out.
And the problem is the Republicans are really hard on the Democrats for doing that. But Mike Johnson did the same thing. He dismissed Congress early to prevent a vote on releasing the Epstein documentation. So he's guilty of the same thing.
Yeah. No, I agree. It kind of stems from the top. And so in the ripple effect. But yeah.
All right. Well, you got to put your silver into this, Brian. Here it is. Have you ever heard of the Nicki Minaj Stiletto Challenge, Brian?
I have not.
All right. It's a big old internet deal, okay? And the challenge started by Nicki Minaj, the big, rap country singer female. I guess she did a 2013 music video called High School, and it involves balancing in high heels on various objects. Well, here's what happened. There's this lady named Mariana Vasiuk. I don't know how to say her name. I'm probably an idiot because I don't know this celebrity. But Mariana Vasiuk, she's a, quote, Russian influencer. She's now recovering from a broken spine after attempting the Nicki Minaj, quote, stiletto challenge, I guess. She recently gave birth, but she tried to balance wearing stiletto high heels on account. I guess what happened is she put a bottle of baby formula with a saucepan on top of it, and then she tried to stand on top of that for the stunt. She fell and had a compression fracture, and anyway, she deleted her initial post about the incident, now mentioning that she's become more popular as a result of it. And she said, my son was safe with a nanny while I was pulling off the stunt, so don't worry about him. And there you have it. So people are taking these challenges. This lady literally broke her spine doing this clown show stuff. I don't understand why people would do this kind of stuff, Brian.
Well, it's crazy. I mean, common sense would be the factor, but you look at all the, if you can get so many likes or whatever on your TikTok or all this, and you build up millions of view things, and we kind of support these people that are doing a lot of this crazy stuff because, the kid phase or the younger generation phase is to, oh man, did you see this video? Did you see this? And the more likes that person gets, they get money and all that other stuff and fame. And before you know it, but some of that stuff is very dangerous, and we're seeing it.
So they say, hey, Sam, do you want to stand on this weird thing and break your spine, but you'll be a rock star like, influencer on... No thanks, Brian. I'm not interested.
Yeah, common sense.
It's like...
Me neither.
I don't even understand, but this lady did this. Think about a bottle of baby formula with a saucepan on top of it, and you're going to stand on that thing in stiletto heels? Women can't even hardly walk down the stairs in stiletto heels, buddy. They stagger around and grab onto the railing and hold onto their man, and you watch them. Haven't you seen this?
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, it's goofy. And then anyway, now Nikki was successful, I guess, doing this in her 2013, whatever high school, whatever performance. I'm just saying it's just, I don't understand it. Well, here's my reason to bring this up, because you say, why are you bringing this up in the Honest Money Report, Sam? Because it seems like economically we're trying to do the same thing, Brian.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Good point. Good analogy there, Sam.
Yeah, we're going to try to put the whole economy stacked on top of Federal Reserve notes, and we're wondering why it's falling sideways, Like what? Why don't you use honest money, constitutional currency? You won't have that goofy stuff going on.
That's right. We'll support it by silver dollar. The silver dollar a lot stronger than this paper.
What does it take to get a silver eagle right now,
Brian? Yeah, they're pushing, what are they, about $43, $44 range.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And a silver nickel's worth $2.15 or something like that right now, right? Just a nickel.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Wow. All right, silver nickels are available, ladies and gentlemen. So are silver dollars. So is constitutional currency, all kinds of silver and gold. You got to go to the Free Water Coin Co., though, because they'll help you take possession of your metal. A lot of people want you to buy it, and then they'll hold on to it for you. Don't fall for it. Take possession of your metal and do it now. If enough Americans did that, would call a halt to the gold and silver paper game. Honest money is what it's all about. Brian, thank you so much, my friend.
Hey, thank you much, Sam. God bless you.
Brian Rust doing a great job for freewatercoinco.com. They've got 3 generations in the honest money business, helping people understand how to invest in precious metals. Set your sights on solutions, understand what's happening, get involved a little bit over a long period of time. Turns out to be quite a bit, if you will. freewatercoinco.com. I'm Sam Bushman. God save our republic.